Have you ever felt like life is pressing you harder than ever, as if everything is against you, and you're wondering if God has forgotten you? What if I told you that those very pressures could be the clearest signs that your breakthrough is closer than you think? Many give up in the final stretch, not realizing that the darkest battles happen right before the greatest victories. When unusual opposition intensifies in your life, it is often a sign that you are standing on the edge of something extraordinary. Breakthrough is never born in ease or comfort. It comes through resistance, and resistance always increases when the enemy senses that you are about to step into the next level of your destiny. Think about it before the dawn breaks. The night is always at its darkest. In the same way, the greatest pressure, the heaviest battles, and the fiercest storms often rise just before the breakthrough God has promised you. Opposition is not proof that you are failing. It is evidence that you are threatening the kingdom of darkness. The enemy does not waste his energy on people going nowhere. He reserves his fiercest attacks for those who are dangerous to his plans, those carrying a destiny that will shift lives, those who are carriers of light in a dark world. If you feel like everything is suddenly against you, it may not be a sign of defeat. It may be confirmation that you are closer to victory than you think. When unusual opposition shows up, it can take many forms. Suddenly, relationships feel strained, finances become tighter, your health faces challenges, or doubt begins to attack your mind. Sometimes it feels like everything is collapsing at the same time. But this is not a coincidence. It is a concentrated attack to wear you down and tempt you to quit right before your breakthrough arrives. The closer you are to the finish line, the stronger the resistance becomes. Imagine a runner in a marathon. The last few miles are always the hardest. Muscles ache, breathing feels impossible, and everything inside screams to give up. Yet, that is the moment that victory is just steps away. This is why you cannot interpret opposition as abandonment. God has not left you. In fact, He is closer than ever, strengthening you for the next stage of your journey. Just as a mother experiences the sharpest labor pains right before birth, your spirit may feel the weight of the fiercest battles just before the miracle breaks through. The pain is not the end, it is the process of birthing something greater. Consider the stories of many who came before us. Joseph faced betrayal from his brothers, false accusations, and years of imprisonment. His opposition intensified until it seemed unbearable. Yet those very battles positioned him to stand before Pharaoh and rise to second in command over Egypt. David faced years of being hunted by Saul, running for his life, hiding in caves, and enduring betrayal from those he helped. But that intense opposition was the final stretch before he was crowned king. The pattern repeats when opposition is fierce, breakthrough is near. The enemy's goal in intensifying opposition is simple: to make you stop. If he cannot destroy you, he will try to discourage you. If he cannot take away your destiny, he will try to convince you that you are too weak to reach it. But here is the truth. Your strength does not come from your own power. It comes from the one who fights for you. And if God is for you, no opposition, no storm, no betrayal, no weapon formed against you can succeed. This is why the season of unusual opposition must be met with unusual faith. You may not see the breakthrough yet, but you must remind yourself that it is closer than it appears. The storm you are facing is not forever. The battle is not endless. The pressure is not permanent. It is temporary, and it is a signal that you are about to step into what you have been waiting and praying for. So when everything around you feels like it is pressing in, when you are tempted to give up, when your strength feels spent, remember this truth: the darkest hour comes just before the dawn. Opposition intensifies because victory is about to manifest. Do not let the heaviness fool you into surrendering. Instead, let it remind you that you are standing on the edge of breakthrough. Hold on, keep moving, and lift your eyes in faith, because what you have been waiting for is closer than you think. And the opposition you feel right now is only proof that your dawn is about to break. There are moments in life when everything around you seems the same. Your daily routine continues. The people in your life remain unchanged, and the circumstances look ordinary, yet deep inside something begins to shift. You can't fully explain it, but there is a stirring in your spirit. It feels like a gentle unease, a sense that where you are is no longer enough, a knowing that something greater is coming. This restlessness is not random. It is a divine signal that change is near. Even though nothing visible has shifted yet, God is preparing to move in ways that will realign your life with His purpose. Restlessness is often misunderstood. Many people assume it means discontentment or confusion. But in the spiritual realm, it is the stirring of the Spirit nudging you to prepare for the next chapter. Like an eagle that senses it is time to leave the nest, your soul begins to sense that the season you are in is about to shift. It is not about being ungrateful for where you are. It is about recognizing that growth requires movement and that destiny calls you higher. This kind of stirring often comes before visible change. Outwardly, the doors may still be closed, the opportunities may not yet appear, and the circumstances may look unchanged. But inwardly, you know something is happening. Your spirit begins to lose comfort in what once felt normal. What satisfied you before no longer fills you. What entertained you before no longer excites you. This restlessness is God's way of detaching you from the familiar so that you will be ready to embrace the unfamiliar blessings ahead. Think of it like a seed buried in the soil. For weeks, nothing can be seen on the surface, yet deep underground, the seed is breaking, roots are forming, and life is stirring. That hidden restlessness in the seed is what causes it to press through the soil into the sunlight. In the same way, your inner stirring is proof that something is about to break through in your life. You may not see it yet, but you can feel it. And that feeling is the confirmation that breakthrough is near. This restlessness can also feel uncomfortable because it challenges your current comfort zone. It may cause you to rethink relationships, jobs, or routines that once felt secure. It may even push you to let go of things that no longer align with your destiny. While the mind craves stability, the spirit knows that stagnation is dangerous. So God stirs your spirit not to frustrate you, but to awaken you. He makes it harder to settle so that you will be ready to step into something greater. Look at the lives of those who stepped into great callings. Before Moses led the people out of Egypt, he felt a deep stirring that he could not ignore. Before David became king, his spirit was restless tending sheep because he knew he was called to more. Before the disciples followed Jesus, they felt the pull that their nets and boats were not the end of their story. Restlessness was the sign that change was coming, that God was positioning them for destiny. If you are sensing that inner stirring right now, take heart. Do not confuse it with impatience. It is not that you are failing or missing out. It is that God is shifting you. He is preparing the ground, moving pieces behind the scenes, and stirring your spirit so that when the doors open, you will not hesitate to walk through them. Restlessness is a divine alert system reminding you that your current chapter is closing and a new one is about to begin. So instead of resisting the stirring, embrace it. Lean into it with prayer. Let it draw you closer to God, asking Him what He is preparing you for. Allow it to refine your focus, strengthen your faith, and awaken your expectation. Because that stirring is not emptiness. It is preparation. It is not frustration. It is formation. It is God whispering that your breakthrough is closer than you think. There are times in life when doors close unexpectedly, and those moments can leave you confused, frustrated, and even heartbroken. Maybe it was a job opportunity you thought was perfect, a relationship you were sure would last, or a plan that seemed to fit so well. Then, suddenly, without warning, the door shuts, and you are left standing there wondering why. At first glance, it feels like rejection, but in truth, it is redirection. God does not close doors to punish you. He closes them to protect you and to position you for the right opportunity. When we face closed doors, our natural tendency is to see them as losses. We may cry over them, question ourselves, or even wonder if we did something wrong. But often, the closed door is God's way of keeping us from stepping into something that would harm us or limit our growth. Just as a loving parent pulls a child back from running into traffic, God in His wisdom knows what lies ahead on certain paths, and He stops us before we can get hurt. What feels like rejection is actually a form of protection. This is why some of the greatest blessings in your life will not come from the doors that opened, but from the ones that closed. Think about it. Had you gotten every job you applied for, you might have missed the career that truly aligned with your gifts. If every relationship had worked out, you might still be tied to someone who was never meant to walk with you into your future. If every opportunity had gone through, you might still be settling for good when God wanted to give you His best. Closed doors may feel painful, but they are proof that God is actively guiding your steps. Consider Joseph's life. He had dreams of greatness, but the doors in front of him kept closing. Betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and imprisoned, each of these moments felt like rejection. Yet every closed door moved him closer to his ultimate destiny of ruling in Egypt and saving nations from famine. If he had been released too soon, he would have missed the timing. If he had avoided the pit, he would never have reached the palace. The very doors that closed were the ones that positioned him for the open door God had prepared. Closed doors also test your faith and your patience. They force you to trust that God sees the bigger picture even when you don't. It takes faith to stand in front of a locked opportunity and say, I trust that if this door is closed, then something greater is on the way. Closed doors strip away our illusion of control and remind us that our lives are guided by a higher wisdom. They train us to let go of what is not meant for us and to prepare our hearts for what is. And when the right door opens, you will understand why the wrong ones had to close. You will see that God's no was never rejection but redirection toward something better. You will look back and thank Him for saving you from paths that would have stolen your joy or delayed your destiny. Sometimes God closes doors because He wants you to grow stronger before stepping into the next level. Other times He closes them because He is aligning circumstances, people, and timing for a greater breakthrough. So if you are in a season where doors are shutting around you, do not lose hope. Lift your eyes above the closed opportunities and trust the one who holds the keys. Every shut door is a step toward the right one. Every rejection is a redirection. Every ending is a setup for a beginning. The God who guides your steps knows where you need to be, and He will not allow you to miss what He has ordained for you. Trust the closed doors because they are not the end of your story. They are simply God's way of saying, I have something better prepared for you. And when the right door finally swings wide open, you will walk through it with clarity, confidence, and gratitude, knowing that every closed door was leading you closer to your breakthrough. There are seasons in life where it feels like everything is delayed. You pray, you wait, you work, and yet progress seems painfully slow. Doors remain shut, opportunities seem scarce, and it feels as if life is stuck on pause. This waiting season can be one of the most challenging tests of faith, because nothing looks like it's moving forward. Yet, what often follows a long period of delay is a sudden season of acceleration where things begin to move so quickly it almost feels unreal. Breakthrough often comes not gradually, but suddenly like a dam that finally bursts after holding back water for years. What once seemed impossible begins to unfold rapidly, and the pace of blessings takes you by surprise. This pattern is woven throughout life and throughout Scripture. God often allows a waiting period, not because He has forgotten you, but because He is preparing you. Delay is not denial, it is development. The waiting shapes your character, deepens your trust, and builds your endurance. And when the appointed time arrives, all that preparation sets you up to handle the acceleration. If the breakthrough had come too soon, you might not have been ready to sustain it. But after the waiting, when the season shifts, you find that you are not only prepared, but also positioned for blessings that unfold swiftly. Think about Joseph. He spent years in slavery in prison, enduring long seasons of delay, wondering if his dreams would ever come true. But when his moment came, it happened suddenly. In one single day, he went from being a prisoner to being second in command of Egypt. The years of waiting seemed endless, but the breakthrough came in a sudden rush of favor and opportunity. Similarly, the Israelites wandered in the wilderness for 40 years, but when it was time to cross into the promised land, the walls of Jericho fell quickly and victories came in rapid succession. Long waiting often sets the stage for sudden acceleration. This principle is also true in our daily lives. There are people who wait years to see the fruit of their labor, and then suddenly the doors open wide. Businesses that struggle for seasons suddenly experience explosive growth. Relationships that seemed barren suddenly blossom into lifelong partnerships. Careers that appeared stagnant suddenly take off with promotions, opportunities, and influence. It is not that things changed randomly. It is that God shifted the season, and what had been delayed now bursts forth with momentum. Acceleration after long waiting can feel overwhelming because it often happens faster than expected. The very things you prayed for begin to unfold all at once. Opportunities stack on top of one another, favor opens unexpected doors, and your life moves forward at a pace that almost feels hard to keep up with. But this is why the waiting season was necessary. It built the maturity, discipline, and faith needed to handle the sudden pace of breakthrough. The enemy wants you to quit in the waiting season because he knows that acceleration is coming. He knows that if you give up before the shift, you will miss the moment where years of prayer and faith suddenly come together. That is why opposition feels heavier the closer you get to breakthrough. The waiting tests you, but the acceleration rewards you. If you are still in the waiting season, take heart. Delays do not mean God has forgotten you. They mean He is arranging the right timing. And when the time comes, no power in hell, no obstacle, no delay can stop what He has ordained. When God says now, everything begins to align quickly. What seemed impossible suddenly becomes possible. What was stagnant suddenly moves with speed. What felt like endless waiting suddenly becomes a testimony of rapid turnaround. So don't despise the waiting. It is building you for the breakthrough. And when the season shifts, you will look back and realize that it didn't matter how long it took, because when it came suddenly. After years of delay, the floodgates will open and momentum will carry you forward faster than you ever imagined. The years of struggle will be overshadowed by the speed of breakthrough, and you will know without a doubt that God's timing is perfect. There comes a moment in the journey toward breakthrough when you begin to notice that the right people, the right opportunities, and the right resources start appearing in your life at just the right time. It feels as though puzzle pieces you could never arrange on your own suddenly begin to fit together. These are not coincidences, they are divine connections. When a breakthrough is near, one of the clearest signs is that God begins to align relationships and circumstances that you could never have orchestrated by your own effort. Divine connections are different from ordinary relationships or opportunities. They carry weight, purpose, and timing. These are the people who speak encouragement into your life when you are about to give up. They are the mentors who provide wisdom you didn't even know you needed. They are the doors that swing open after years of nothing moving. They are resources that show up exactly when you lack the provision to take the next step. Divine connections are evidence that heaven is working on your behalf, preparing the way for your breakthrough. Many times these connections appear suddenly, just when you feel like you cannot move forward. You may have prayed for years, wondering how a dream would ever come to pass, only to meet someone unexpectedly who holds the key to unlocking that door. A single conversation, an introduction, or a moment of favor can accelerate you years ahead. This is why it is so important to remain expectant, because the answer to your prayer may not come in the way you expect, but through the people and opportunities God sends into your path. Consider the story of Ruth. After deep loss and hardship, she could not see the bigger picture of her future. Yet in her obedience to stay with Naomi, she encountered Boaz, a divine connection who not only provided for her immediate needs, but also secured her place in the lineage of kings and ultimately in the line of Christ. One encounter changed her destiny. In the same way, when a breakthrough is near, God positions people who can see value in you, even when you feel overlooked. Divine connections are also about timing. You can meet someone years before and never realize their importance until the right season arrives. Or you may walk through years of solitude before suddenly being surrounded by the right voices and opportunities. Timing matters because God knows exactly when you are ready to step into your breakthrough. What looks like delay is often just Him aligning circumstances so that everything converges at the appointed time. It is also important to recognize that divine connections are not always about personal gain. Sometimes you are sent as the divine connection in someone else's life. You might be the voice of encouragement, the resource, or the opportunity they have been praying for. This exchange of value is what makes divine connection so powerful. They are never one-sided, but mutually impactful, designed to advance God's purposes through both lives. The challenge is that you must be willing to let go of the wrong connections in order to embrace the right ones. As long as you cling to people who drain you, opportunities that are not aligned, or resources that bind you, you will not have the space to receive the divine appointments God has prepared. This is why earlier seasons often involve pruning and separation. It clears the path for the right people and opportunities to enter at the right time. If you find yourself meeting new people, receiving unexpected opportunities, or discovering resources that align perfectly with what you've been praying for, take it as confirmation that your breakthrough is near. These divine connections are not accidents. They are signs that God is actively working behind the scenes, aligning heaven and earth to bring His promises to pass in your life. So remain alert, pay attention to the doors that open, the people who enter, and the opportunities that present themselves. Test them against your spirit, and when you sense alignment, step forward in faith. Because when divine connections appear, It is more than chance. It is the hand of God arranging every detail to move you closer to your destiny. Breakthrough is never a solo journey. It is woven together by the right people, the right timing, and the right opportunities, all sent to confirm that you are walking into the fulfillment of your promise. There is a kind of peace that cannot be explained by logic, a calm that does not make sense when compared to what is happening around you. It is a peace that holds you steady when life feels like a storm. A peace that assures you that no matter how chaotic things may look on the outside, everything is already under control. This peace is not based on circumstances, because circumstances change. It is not rooted in feelings, because feelings fluctuate. It is a peace anchored in the assurance that the victory has already been secured. When you are approaching a breakthrough, this peace often shows up as one of the clearest signs. The storm may still rage, opposition may still rise, and challenges may still surround you, yet inside there is a quiet confidence that you will come out on top. It is as though your spirit knows something your mind cannot yet see. You may not know how or when, but deep down you know that the outcome is already settled. That inner calm is not denial of the problem. It is the recognition that the problem does not have the final word. This kind of peace is powerful because it stabilizes you when everything else is shaking. Most people collapse under pressure when chaos hits, but those who carry this deep peace stand firm. It is the difference between sinking in fear and walking in faith. Peace becomes your anchor, holding you steady until the storm passes. You stop trying to control everything because you realize you are already held by the one who controls it all. That shift in perspective is what allows you to breathe calmly when everyone else is panicking. Look at the story of Daniel in the lion's den. From the outside, his circumstances were terrifying. He was surrounded by hungry lions, placed in a hopeless situation. Yet Daniel was not frantic or fearful. He had a calm assurance that God would protect him, and that peace carried him through the night. The same was true for the 3 Hebrew boys thrown into the fiery furnace. They stood before a raging king and a blazing fire, yet their words and actions reflected peace, not fear. That kind of confidence does not come from circumstances. It comes from knowing the outcome before the battle is even fought. Peace beyond circumstances also serves as confirmation that you are aligned with God's plan. When you walk in the wrong direction, you often feel confusion, unrest, and turmoil in your spirit. But when you are walking in step with His will, even in the middle of storms, you sense a calm assurance. That inner stillness whispers that you are exactly where you need to be, that nothing is out of God's control, and that what looks chaotic is actually being used to lead you into victory. It is important to recognize this peace and hold on to it, because the enemy will try to steal it. He thrives on fear, worry, and anxiety, and he knows that if he can shake your peace, he can weaken your faith. That is why guarding your inner calm is so crucial. When you choose to focus on the promise instead of the problem, peace becomes your shield. When you remind yourself that the victory is already secured, peace becomes your strength. Sometimes people will not understand how you can smile, rest, or keep moving forward when everything around you seems to be falling apart. But that is the testimony of peace beyond circumstances. It is the evidence that you are not fighting from victory. You are fighting from victory. You already know how the story ends, and because of that, you refuse to let temporary storms dictate your permanent outlook. So if you are in a season where life feels chaotic, yet there is a strange calm inside you, don't ignore it. That is not weakness or denial. It is divine confirmation that breakthrough is near. That peace is God's way of telling you, I've already secured this. Keep walking, keep trusting, because the outcome is already decided. The chaos may roar, but peace whispers louder. And that whisper is the proof that you are standing on the edge of victory. When you look back at everything you've faced, the opposition that intensified, the restlessness that stirred in your spirit, the doors that closed, the delays that seemed endless, the sudden connections that appeared, and the unexplainable peace that settled in your heart, you will realize none of it was random. Every piece was pointing to one truth: your breakthrough was drawing near. The battles you endured were not signs of defeat, but of progress. The restlessness was not discomfort for nothing. It was preparation for change. The doors that shut were not rejection, but protection. The waiting was not wasted time. It was building strength for acceleration. The new people and opportunities that entered your path were not chance. They were alignment. And the peace you carried in chaos was not weakness. It was the assurance that the victory was already secured. Breakthrough is never about chance. It is about timing, preparation, and trust. The very struggles that seemed like setbacks were actually signs that you were on the edge of something greater. So do not let fear, doubt, or delay convince you that nothing is happening. Behind the scenes, everything is shifting, aligning, and preparing for the moment where suddenly what you've prayed for, waited for, and believed for will come to pass. Stand firm, stay expectant, hold your peace, because your breakthrough is closer than you think, and when it arrives, you'll see that every battle, every delay, and every closed door was simply setting the stage for the victory that was already written with your name on it.